employers rather than hinder them.
Nick Clegg speaking a little earlier. Well, can flexible working actually work, or will it bind the hands of employers? We can talk to Sally Overhead, who is founder of Mojomums. She joins me in the studio. They're a recruitment agency helping mothers to find work. Also joining us from our central London studio is Fiona Weir, chief executive of the charity Gingerbread. The charity provides support to single parents. Sally Overhead, if I can start with you, do you welcome what you heard from the Deputy Prime Minister today?
Yep, definitely.
Will it make a difference?
I think it's a start to making a difference. I think there's a lot more that needs to be done than just saying you can ask for flexible working. But I think that flexible working is beneficial to employers and employees. And I think the government saying that everybody needs to have that option is a step in the right direction.
OK, Fiona Weir, you support single parents getting back to work, and today we also heard it's not just around maternity leave, but a right for all people to ask for flexible working hours. How much difference do you think that will make to single parents?
Well, we very much welcome the announcement because flexible working is extraordinarily important for many single parents who really do need to be able to fit their work around childcare arrangements or school hours. But we do think the Deputy Prime Minister has missed a trick by not allowing people to make the right for request at the point where they're offered a job, because if you're a single parent trying to come back into the workplace, you can't really wait 6 months to find out if you're going to get flexible hours. You do need it from day one. So we'd actually like to see government go a bit further on this.
And given your experience working with single parents, do you think that that's something that they would like to be able to do?
We've surveyed single parents a lot this year about what their barriers to work are, and about 29% are telling us that one of the biggest barriers is lack of employers offering flexible hours. We're coming across cases of quite experienced single parents who are actually bumping down into jobs well below their skills level simply because they can't find an employer who'll take them on flexible hours with the job that they're fully qualified to do. So we know it's a real problem because many of them are desperate to fit around childcare arrangements and school hours, but it's still quite hard finding the family-friendly employers out there. And I think very sad because there's so much evidence that it works for employers too, and that really this is the way we need to go in a modern workplace.
Sally Overhead, you don't just help women back to work, you also obviously run a business. Do you agree with that the government hasn't gone far enough, speaking from an employer's point of view?
Yeah, I do, because we have a large percentage of our workers that are flexible workers, and it works for us. And I do think that all women, including mums and single mums, need the opportunity to go back to work in flexible roles. And I do think there's a severe shortage of those roles. I think it's education for the employers. Part of what we do at Mojomums is try to educate employers as to how flexible working can work. I think if the government can help employers understand the benefits of flexible working, how to change their business models to adjust to that, then I think there's a better chance that this will work.
Do you think that perhaps they're trying to do too much all at the same time, and actually maybe they should be thinking about maternity leave and the ability to share that with your partner, rather than at the same time trying to broaden flexible working out to everyone from an employer's point of view? I mean, that's a lot of people who could all be asking for it at the same time.
I agree, and I think it could backfire and end up in employers using the good business reason to say no across the board, and that could affect mums that may need, or dads, the flexible working more than the general workforce. But I don't think they're also doing enough, because I think to say that you've got the right to ask for flexible working is great. You can ask for it now if you like, and my employees do, but I think there needs to be more done to make sure that companies are set up to actually offer flexible working. And we talk about a quota for women in the boardroom, but maybe there should be a quota for flexible working within employers. Maybe they should have to have a certain amount of roles available for women and men and anybody else who wants to go back to work on a flexible basis.
Fiona Weir, do you see this backfiring in any way?
No, we don't think so. There's been some kind of right to request for quite a few years, and we know, talking to employers of all different shapes and sizes, that the ones who've tried it have actually generally come around to thinking that it makes quite a lot of sense for their business too. Gets them to think a bit harder about the job and whether it could be done differently or on different hours. So it's not a one-way street, and they end up with employers who are quite loyal, who tend to have lower levels of sick leave, So a lot of benefits coming back to the employer as well as the employee. And if we want to get parents, single mums and dads and parents and couples into the workplace, we've got to recognise they've got a tough juggling act, particularly if they are the only one looking after the kids. And that means if we don't provide this kind of support, we're going to have families stuck at home outside the workplace. That's not good for the children, and it's not good for the parents, it's not good for the economy. So it really is time we took a big step forward on this.
Overhead, just briefly, how much of a step forward do you think they've taken? Because they're saying you should, as a worker, have the right to ask for flexible working. Yeah. I mean, anyone can ask, can't they?
Yeah.
Has anything changed here?
I think the right to split your maternity leave with your husband or partner is a step forward, because I think lots of women now are more than their husbands or want to return to work and the husbands take the time off. I think that's a step forward, but I think there's more work needed around the flexible working policy. Flexible working is a benefit for our business. I think it can be a benefit for all businesses. I just think businesses need to understand it.
And Fiona Weir, do you see this as much of a step forward?
I do, but let's see government put itself forward as setting an example. If we could have some of the really big government departments absolutely committed to championing flexible working and being seen to be flexible employers, and increasingly starting to ask a lot of the companies who supply services to them to do the same, I think we'd start to get the real kind of breakthrough that's needed, that just starts to normalise this as just the way you do things. You fit around different sizes of jobs for different types of circumstances of employees.
OK, Fiona Weir from Gingerbread, thanks very much indeed for joining us from Central London. Thanks also to our guest in the studio, Sally Overhead.
Thank you.
Right, it is